The whole reason that you buy a gimbal is to get smooth cinematic footage, but a lot of people get it home and they realize that it's not quite doing what they expected it to do. And here's the thing, there are a ton of different settings and options on gimbals these days, and a lot that can be customized and tweaked. But for me, and the way that I like to use them, there are 5 main settings and features that make a huge difference in making the gimbal work the way that I want it to. So that's exactly what I'm gonna show you today, those 5 settings and how to use them for the shots that you want. And by the end of this, you're going to be able to get way better shots with your gimbal. So secure the cup and let's get into it. Still love that. Now, DJI is the sponsor of this video, so I'm gonna be demonstrating all of these functions on the brand new DJI RS5 gimbal. I'll show you some of the awesome features that it has to offer along the way as well. But my goal here is that this video should be also generally helpful for almost all gimbal users. And of course, if you do fall in love with the RS5 and you want more info or to pick one up, there's a link down in the description that you can use to make that happen. All right, let's kick things off with a feature that's a little bit outside the typical box of a gimbal: tracking. Especially as a content creator and solo shooter, this is an issue that I've run into a lot. If I'm behind the camera trying to do gimbal movements while also tracking a subject can be really difficult. And if I happen to be out in front of the camera, I don't have a camera person to track me. So having a tracking function on my gimbal solves a ton of problems. The DJI gimbal started introducing their intelligent tracking with the RS4 lineup, but the RS5 has the most advanced version to date. It uses the intelligent tracking module that you just snap into the top of the gimbal, and it's got a little camera that actually works to track the subject. Now, I mentioned the 2 different ways that I use tracking, either filming myself or while I'm filming, and here's what I mean by that. When I'm behind the camera, I can use tracking to track any subject that I want by swiping left on the touchscreen, which actually brings up the view from the tracking camera so I can see what it sees, and then I have 2 options. If the tracking module automatically finds a subject like a person or a vehicle or a pet, I could just hit the trigger button and it will start or stop tracking. Or if I want to track any other object, I can just draw a little rectangle over it on the touchscreen. This is handy for 2 different reasons. One, if I'm trying to stay still while the subject is moving, I don't really have to worry about missing out on the subject. The camera will actually follow them around for me. And 2, if I'm trying to do a move and I want to keep the subject in frame, the gimbal is going to make sure that that's the case. For example, it used to be super hard to get really solid orbit shots and keep the subject right in the middle of the frame, but now you just track the subject and walk around them. So much easier. The other way that I use the tracking is when I'm filming myself, and this has a huge potential for self-filmers. For my studio tour video, I filmed the whole thing using the RS5 attached to a tripod and using intelligent tracking. So the camera stays in place, but it follows me around as I move wherever I want throughout my studio. And one of the best things is that I could use hand gestures to control not only the gimbal, but also recording on the camera. So a palm up will start and stop tracking, and the light will go green when it's tracking or red when it's not. If I do a box around my face, it'll let me pause the tracking so that I can reframe. So if I don't want to be perfectly centered in the frame or something, I can adjust the position and then do the box again, and it will restart tracking, but with me in that portion of the frame. So the light goes yellow when you're adjusting, and then it goes back to green once you're back to tracking. And then a peace sign or a V or 2 fingers will start and stop recording on the camera. So again, that was palm starts tracking, box to reframe, and peace sign records. 3 gestures for total control. Now, tracking isn't necessarily standard on every gimbal out there, but if you shoot solo or need to nail complex moves, it is genuinely next level. One of the most common issues I see gimbal beginners have is not actually using the right follow mode for the situation. In this case, there are 3 and a half main follow modes that you might want to use. And the RS5 makes it extra easy because instead of having to dig through the menus, you've got a dedicated switch on the side so you can switch between these modes. The one that I probably use the most out of any mode is PF, or pan follow mode. This means that the gimbal is only going to follow my movements left and right without tilting up and down or rolling side to side. This can be super useful for follow shots or anywhere that you're moving through a space and you want the camera to make sure that it stays perfectly level the whole time. Next, we have PTF, or pan tilt follow. This adds the ability to tilt up and down as well, so it won't stay perfectly level. If you want to create a tilt up to a sign on a building or to reveal a tree, or if you want to tilt down to show off someone's shoes, this is the mode for you. And then we have the FPV mode, which mimics the view of an FPV drone by following the panning, the tilting, and the roll. This has a very cool look that can introduce kind of a trippy off-kilter effect while being super smooth still. Unfortunately, there's no magic mode that covers everything, but once you understand those three, you quickly figure out which one to use for each shot. Now, I did say 3.5, and that's because if you hold down the trigger while you're filming, it also allows you to lock the follow mode altogether. So the camera will stay pointing exactly the same direction it was pointing and ignore any of the panning or tilting movements that you might be making. This is super handy for when you're doing a push in on a subject or pulling away when you don't want the camera to accidentally be moving left or right. And while we're talking about the trigger button, a little bonus tip is that if you tap it twice, it'll recenter the camera. And if you tap it 3 times, you'll spin over into selfie mode or self-filming mode. Now, there is another way to move the gimbal around, and that's using the joystick. But when you try to use it straight out of the box, it might not be doing exactly what you want it to do. So we're gonna need to adjust it a bit by using the joystick speed controls. For me personally, I find the default controls are a bit quick and a bit abrupt for the way that I like to use the joystick. That's fine if you've got your gimbal, let's say, on a tripod and you're only using the joystick to get the camera into position, but I've actually got an easier way to do that I'll show you in a minute. So for me, the way that I like to use the joystick is for doing smooth movements that I don't want to make by physically moving the gimbal around. So I want the joystick to be nice and slow and smooth. First and foremost, with the RS5, we've got a switch on the side that changes the joystick between a zoom function and our movement function. So we definitely want to make sure that that's on the movement function. Then we're going to swipe up to see the 2 joystick related controls, speed and smoothness. Speed controls how fast the camera will move when we touch the joystick. I like to set mine to slow, but there's also medium, fast, and a customizable option that you can change from 0 to 100. And then the smoothness controls the start and stop smoothness when you start adjusting the joystick. If you have the smoothness set to low, it starts moving rather abruptly and stops almost immediately after you let go. When it's on high, it ramps up to speed more smoothly and it doesn't stop exactly when you let go, so it can make smoother stops as well. And one of the coolest things about the new RS5 is that they've now given us an electronic briefcase handle that has the same controls as the main handle. So we've got our joystick, we've got our M button, we've got our record button, and then we've also got a trigger button on it. It attaches to the side of the RS5 with no cables and allows for those low angle shots without you missing any of the controls that you need. But of course, I also mentioned that I had a way to kind of replace the joystick for the function of moving the gimbal into place quickly. So here's another bonus tip. The RS5 has a function called push mode in the setting. So we just swipe down, find the gear button, and find push mode. And if we enable that, we can just physically move the gimbal so that the camera is pointing wherever we want it to, and it won't fight back like it normally does when that feature is off. One of the features on every single gimbal that's an absolute must to get used to is how to balance it properly. If your camera isn't balanced properly on your gimbal, the motors are gonna have to work way harder, it's going to drain the battery faster, it's going to make it so that your footage isn't as smooth as it could be. So here's how I like to balance my gimbal. First of all, the RS5 has the 2nd generation automatic axis locks, so when you turn it on, it automatically unlocks and gets ready to use. what I like to do is immediately tap the power button once to lock all the motors up again after turning it on. This puts it in a sleep mode, but with the motors all locked. Tapping twice would put it in a sleep mode with the motors unlocked. Then what I do is I manually unlock the tilt motor and I start pointing the camera straight up. I'm gonna loosen off the height adjustment and then use what is probably my personal favorite new feature on the RS5, the fine-tuning knobs that are on every single axis. This makes it 1,000 times easier to balance. So if it's tilting forward, I'll shift it up. If it's tilting backwards, I'll shift it down, and then lock it in place once it's good. Then I'll move the lens back to facing forward and I'll adjust the forward and back knob in the same way. If it moves forward, I move it back. If it moves back, I move it forward. Once I've got those two, I'm gonna lock that motor down and I'm going to unlock the roll motor. And then it's the same deal here. If it rolls left, I'm gonna move it right. If it rolls right, I'm gonna move it left, and then I'm gonna lock that back up again. Then I unlock the panning axis and I actually hold it sideways for this one. And if it falls forward, I will shift it back. If it falls back, I'll shift it forward. So now that we have the gimbal balanced properly, we can see a button on there that kind of looks like a gimbal with little wiggly lines beside it. If we hit that and then hit start calibration, it'll start wiggling things and actually automatically calibrate the gimbal for us. And now having it perfectly balanced means we can actually take advantage of the full battery efficiency of this gimbal, which is an insane 14 hours of runtime. And even if you're like me and you have the cable attached so that the gimbal controls and charges your camera, the battery can quick charge in only an hour, which is awesome. Now, for the fifth setting, we have to bring it back to the main function of the gimbal, making things smooth. And to make sure that the gimbal is doing that in the way that we want it to, we're going to adjust something called the follow speed. This is how the gimbal responds to your physical movement. So if you pan the gimbal to the left, does it take a second to catch up or does it snap right along with you? If you have this setting too fast, it can feel jerky and you can get accidental movements that you didn't want. And if you have it too slow, it might not be keeping up with your movements for a fast-paced action scene. So here's how to tweak it. On the RS5, tap the little running man. There are two settings here that work together. First, you pick your overall behavior, either smooth or responsive. Smooth is going to start and stop following you more smoothly as it tries to follow your movements. And responsive is going to quickly snap into action to follow your moves. Once we choose one of those two options, we'll choose how fast it follows. So slow, medium, or fast, or there's a custom 0 to 100 option again. If I'm just doing nice, slow, smooth movements, I like to set it to smooth and medium. But if I want a more handheld kind of look with more movement, responsive and fast works really nice too. It's still gimbal smooth, but it has a little bit more of the movements that you get with handheld shots. And in my experience, the RS5 has been really, really solid for smoothness. The 5th gen stabilization algorithm is better than ever. The higher motor torque on this gimbal means that it handles payloads of up to 3 kilograms super smoothly, even with really responsive settings. And as a bonus, they now have a Z-axis stability indicator on the screen so you can see if you're bouncing up and down too much and you need to work on your ninja walk a little bit more. All right, I hope that helped you out with your gimbal adventures. If you have any questions about these settings or about the RS5, leave a comment down below and I'll do my best to try and help out. I've been really impressed with the RS5 so far, and if you want to check it out for yourself, again, there's a link down in the description. And on your way down there, make sure to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell notification button so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.